that there is one overriding reason for the invasion, and that is Vladimir Putin's desire to reconstitute the Russian Empire.
Another person who made an analysis about the Ukraine-Russian crisis or invasion, for that matter, and that was the former President Nixon's grandson, had something to say. Check this out.
Yeah. Ukraine is a large country, 42 million people, larger than the size of Texas. And that's going to be very difficult for him to try and control. And I think ultimately it will be unsuccessful.
Yeah. Now that's interesting.
Right.
So that's interesting. So Christopher Nixon thinks it's going to be unsuccessful. I actually haven't heard that take there.
Number two, no one expected the sanctions to prevent anything from happening.
No one expected the sanctions from preventing anything from happening. That was the whole point, we thought. I know I heard that before from this administration. Take a look at this.
No one expected the sanctions to prevent anything from happening.
The purpose of the sanctions has always been and continues to be deterrence.
The purpose of the sanctions, in the first instance, is to try to deter Russia from going to war.
The president believes that sanctions are intended to deter.
They're meant to prevent and deter a large-scale invasion.
We want them to have a deterrent effect.
It imports a lot of fertilizer from Russia, so since that trade is likely to be sanctioned, or maybe it already has been sanctioned, I just haven't picked it up yet, prices for fertilizer go up.
Rodrick Threats, CEO of Black Patriot Media Group, Executive Director of Torch of Liberty Podcast Network, host of the Southern Liberty Radio Show podcast. Without further ado, let's bring on Mr. Threats.
Welcome. What's good, fellas? All of that going on. There's a whole lot of corruption going on.
And what kind of corruption is that? Like
we're talking market manipulation. I mean, the Russians are the starters of the oligarchy, right? Now, Russia has 24% of the world's natural gas. That's the most of any country in the world.
That's a fourth almost. Wow, in the world. Wow.
So think about this minute. What sanctions when you are the energy czar of Europe and Asia? What sanctions? Your mining was the Orange Revolution that basically kicked out the corruption. Now, I'm going to make some of your listeners uncomfortable, but they need to hear this. Ukraine still have holdovers from Nazis. Majority of the Ukrainian military is neo-Nazis. Y'all can fact check me. They're the Azov battalion fighting in the Donbass against the LPR and the DPR.
How is it that their neo-Nazi imprint or footprint in here in this military when they were probably the most drastically affected by Hitler? 7 million people were killed.
They were holdovers. They were holdovers, and they just kept that ideology. That's why your Western Ukrainians, watch what happens as Russia advances past Kyiv. Watch what happens. The resistance is going to get more fierce. Yes. Right? Western Ukraine despises Russia.
The reality of those people in Ukraine who are more connected to their Russian roots, right? To the motherland of Russia. I'm very curious when I think of if we can link this Crimea, right? What happened there and the people and how most of them wanted that, from what I'm coming to understand, and what's happening now. Did most of these people where he's invading now through Kyiv and where he's at, do a lot of those people want that? And it's
right. Some of the videos I got, some people just walking nonchalantly, like waving at the Russian soldiers, like, "Hey, what's up?" Like, dang, B. Okay. That's Gucci.
Strategy here. When you tell me he's after the government, what's his strategy though? Like, how is he gonna expose the corruption, reveal it? If that's his agenda, what is this the right method? And what's his strategy?
I think ultimately he wants to eradicate the Nazism. Right? It's an invasion of Ukraine. No, you can't invade something you've already occupied. You've already occupied Ukraine. I don't care if it's 1 square mile. You have occupied Ukraine.
So you don't think this is an invasion?
No, because you can't invade something you're already occupying.
But how much of the
that's like America. That's like America going into Puerto Rico is what you're saying.
Pretty much.
Did they have what did Russia when you say they were there, like in what way?
They were already there in the government. They already had military troops on the ground. They even had Belarusian troops on the ground in Sevastopol and Simferopol.
Engagement compromised our American government.
Oh yeah, compromised them big time. I mean, come on, we're literally doing business with neo-Nazis.
Not with Nixon that he's not going to succeed. You are definitely
banking
on him succeeding. Yeah.
He's at the least he will get the Donbass at the least, and that's what's really most important to him, right? Because the Donbass has the largest natural gas reserve in Eastern Europe.
Got it.
He needs that gas for Nord Stream 2.
There it is.
So sanctions mean nothing.
Nope, zero.
Like what's the sanction?
Because here's the thought. I was
worst case scenario in your mind, and what's best case scenario? And then quick follow up from there. I'm just curious to get your personal take on, I guess, your opinion on this, on what Russia's doing, where you agree, disagree. But yeah.
Worst case scenario, he starts firing off on everybody because someone itched his trigger finger. Because Putin's that dude, like.
But there's no real long-term interest for if he does that, right? Like, it's just, it wouldn't benefit even his own citizens if he goes to like
if he hits a NATO nation. Yeah, no, it wouldn't benefit him at all. It would cripple him.
Yeah,
it would cripple him because
so he's not going beyond Ukraine. You don't think he's going to the?
Mm-mm.
You don't see no benefit in Russia not doing this, Ukraine existing how it always existed, and just keeping those borderlines, Russia minding their business and Ukraine doing their thing. Is there any benefit in Ukraine existing?
Well, here's the thing. Now, here's the question, right? We got to remember, actual Ukraine is not the actual size of Ukraine today. We have to understand this, right? These were lands that were annexed that was annexed into Ukraine from Russia. These lands was Russian lands. Yeah. So there's the map. So here's what I'm talking about. See that little area in red? That was actually Ukraine in 1654.
Why does Russia need to take that back? What makes Russia entitled? I'm playing devil's advocate here to take that back, though.
Over there, like, we don't know where the corruption came from. It just like, you know what I mean? Sometimes you can point a moment in time where the corruption started. They're like, we don't know. It just came out of nowhere. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things. So like it would benefit in a way to like I said, take that land back. But what is the other motive besides natural gas? Right.
Best case scenario to me cannot be massive loss of civilian lives. Russian taking over Ukraine will result in hundreds of thousands of lives lost. I'm with him there. So that's what makes this. War's always complicated. It's tough. And but in all honesty, what we discussed today, I'm realizing as a point of view, the West is honestly not giving us, right.
We always heard here, Trump bad. Trump bad, Trump so bad, right? Mean tweets, right?
Yeah.
But then overseas, you notice how they treated Trump, right? You see how they treated him, right? They treated him a lot differently than the media treated him here.
2 quick thoughts for Sip on Facts. We're doing it a bit different from what Man of Justice today shared with us. NATO nations are all over Russian borders, right? That's something to take into account. Just a quick for your Sip on Facts, for you to realize that this is the threat coming, how the perception from the other side is looking at it. And so neo-Nazis military is now Ukraine National Guard, right? That's a big claim. Again, I don't know the validity behind this claim, and I'm not doubting because I know he's pretty historically accurate, but I'm the type that wants to kind of dig in myself a bit more to really see what's up with this claim.
Guys, thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining the conversation. Thanks for being here. Rodrick, Man of Justice, thanks for being here. We appreciate you guys. I hope you have a great weekend.